Hello, this is the 175th Test from the Future, an experimental podcast from the year 2224, which we are sending from our present to yours. My name is Dirk.
And my name is Simon.
And we're putting the past in podcast. Today's episode is about moon terminology.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, so we titled it Full Earth, and you'll find out really what that means. But before we get to moon terminology, we've gotten a few listener questions.
Yeah, right, asking basically how it's going for me, being a person of leisure.
Yes, how's the onboarding going? People were asking. So how is this going?
Going very easy, barely an inconvenience, very relaxed.
Okay.
We've just, as I've been in touch with, not exactly, it's not like we're grouped as classes, like in a school, like years or whatever. But okay, there's me and a bunch of other people who've just become people of leisure. So we've got a group, like an online chat, and we've arranged to meet up in person. I think it's 2 months from now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just you guys are taking your time.
Yeah, exactly. There's no rush. So 2 months from now is when we'll meet to discuss how do we go about being people of leisure.
Okay. Well,
in the meantime, I'm being a person of leisure.
Yes, exactly. I mean, just winging it as you say.
Comes naturally.
Okay, cool. Well, that's nice to hear. So everybody was curious how all this was going. It's going fine. You'll meet up for the first time in 2 months.
Correct.
Okay. Did you get a hammock?
I already had 2.
Okay.
But I did get a complimentary, like a new one, with the People of Leisure logo embroidered on it.
Cool. So did you try it out already, or is it taking your time with this?
I tried it out. It was, the logo did make me feel like some solidarity. But in terms of comfort,
Okay.
one of the ones I had already was superior.
Okay. Cool. Then as soon as there is an update, they will update our listeners.
Correct.
But for today, like I mentioned, we're talking about moon terminology. So a few episodes ago, or many episodes ago, we mentioned how the colonization of the solar system is going. There are some colonies, there are some countries on Mars, on the moon, for example. And there's people who've been born and raised on the moon. And there's
some generations now.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's for us, it's not so new anymore. But what's been basically in development ever since these colonies and then later countries were established is how this affects terminology. And I think it's really easily explained by the word full Earth, because on the moon there's no full moon, because you're on it. Instead, there's full Earth.
Yeah, referring to when you look up at the Earth, that you see the whole of it, not like half of it or a crescent of it or something like that.
But there's new Earth where you basically don't see it.
Right.
And there's, what's it?
There's
Crescent?
half, like I said, crescent, gibbous. I'm not actually so up on my terminology there. So, they're using the same words as used for the moon from Earth. They're using for the Earth from the moon. And
then, as far as I understand, the moon, the Earth also looks a little bit like this classic moon crescent, right? But that's pretty easy, and that's something that everybody kind of figured out from the get-go. There's no longer a full moon, there's a full Earth.
Right, and I just realized that for our listeners, perhaps, just seeing, especially if they just saw the title of the episode, Full Earth, maybe they were thinking it was something to do with the Earth being full of people, like too many people, and that's why they've moved to other parts of the solar system. And just to let our listeners put their fears at ease, that's not the case. It's all good.
No, we just went to the moon for the heck of it.
Yep, not out of necessity.
Yeah, but then of course this was a relatively easy one. But living on the moon and growing up there and going about your business there, this definitely affects the vocabulary that maybe you, your ancestors or parents inherited from the Earth. Right.
So meaning for people who move to the moon now, or moving is a bit of a big step, go there on holiday now. I think they're the folk most likely to be tripped up by using words or phrases that make sense on Earth that mean something different on the moon. But sure, for folk who have been born and raised there, there are still turns of phrase that exist because of their parents or their grandparents or whoever coming from Earth and moving to the moon at some point.
And of course, there's still communication, right? You still work together with people on Earth and on Mars and so on. So you still have to agree on some standards. And also some things essentially didn't change, but maybe kind of changed context. Like sunrise and sunset, I think, is a good example, because they still have that on the moon. I've seen a few really beautiful sunrises and sunsets there, but you only have them every 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Because like daylight is there for 2 weeks, or like 2 Earth weeks.
Oh, yeah.
And then night is there for 2 Earth weeks.
Correct.
So
like
like
four Earth weeks in total.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume our listeners know that's how long it takes for the Earth, for the moon rather, to orbit the Earth.
Yeah.
And that's directly tied to the sunrise and sunset and so on.
Exactly. So they still have sunrise and sunset. It's just, they take way longer, like to how do you call it, to travel across the horizon, and the light doesn't change until the last minute.
Right, blinks in or out.
Exactly. So just suddenly you start noticing it's getting darker, and then within a minute it's pitch black. Yeah, and before that it's super bright. So there is still a sunrise and a sunset, but you don't really notice it.
Right. And actually, you mentioned that you've seen some beautiful ones there, some beautiful sunrise and sunsets. On Earth, that's usually because of like the light going through the clouds and so through the atmosphere. And on the moon, there is no atmosphere. So what is it about it?
It's basically the scenery. So if you're going out
shadows.
where there's no structures and so on, that's basically just Earth scenery. So there's the hills and the valleys and the peaks, and it's pretty ragged. Not ragged, rugged.
Rugged, yeah.
Rugged.
And you said Earth scenery, but you meant moon scenery, I guess.
Yeah, I mean moon scenery. Yeah, exactly. And then because you have to time it really correctly, right? Because you have one sunrise a month, and this lasts like 2 minutes or something like that. So you have to be right at the right place, and especially you get suddenly really long shadows, and then it's black.
Yeah.
So this moving scenery is really beautiful, and then you have to make your way back in darkness.
I mean, you've taken a torch with you, I guess.
Yeah. But anyway, so this is an interesting change of how sunrise and sunset are still the same, but just perceived differently.
Yeah.
But I think what we just mentioned, that a full a full moon day lasts 28 Earth days.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, so for, I'm jumping ahead a tiny bit, but they use hours and minutes and seconds.
Yeah.
Those are the same length on the moon as on Earth. So, sure, an Earth day is 24 hours.
Yeah.
A moon day is 28 times 24 hours. I'm not going to do it in my head, but yeah.
A lot of hours.
Yeah.
And a lot more minutes.
Yeah.
But I think especially when you talk about days, there's always confusion.
Yeah.
Because especially if you're talking about people that, were born and raised on the moon, when you're talking about a day, you usually mean a moon day.
Yeah.
But Earth people...
More closely corresponds to an Earth month.
Yeah, exactly. But then Earth people, if you talk to Earth people, or you have visitors or people that were just, that just moved to the moon, they are confused. You always have to specify, is this an Earth day or is this a moon day? But, I mean, you know that, and you do specify that, or otherwise you figure it out quickly.
Yeah.
But there are a lot more, let's say, day terms that make things complicated.
Yeah, like holiday and birthday, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, today is a holiday. Okay, cool. Does that mean Earth Day or Moon Day?
Right.
Do I have 28 holidays or one?
Yeah.
And if it's one holiday, is this? If I have 2 holidays, how does this affect my moon holidays and so on?
Yeah.
So you always have to do the math. But I think with holidays, it's still relatively easy. But birthday.
Oh, indeed. Yeah. So, right, on Earth, 24-hour period, you're born within that 24-hour period. That's your birthday. Moon, it's a 672-hour period. I just did the maths there. So,
okay.
All the people born within those 672 days have the same birthday.
Yeah, exactly. So you have a lot more people with
672 hours, not 672 days. That would be excessive.
Yeah, okay.
All the people born within those 672 hours have the same birthday.
Exactly. But then, okay, so that's your birthday, your moon birthday. But if you go to Earth, can you then celebrate your birthday on the Earth?
Right.
On Earth for 48 days? Because it is
48 days.
28.
Yeah. 672 hours.
Yeah. No, I'm getting all my numbers mixed up.
Yeah.
So, but then, like, because you are a moon citizen,
Sure.
you know, you have a moon
right, and on
passport.
your passport, exactly, it has your birth date written down.
Exactly. So can you then actually celebrate your birthday on Earth for 28
Yeah, I
days?
mean, that gets tricky because they don't have months.
Yeah, that's true.
So never mind, I guess.
And the other way around, if you have an Earth birthday, if you then celebrate it on the moon, can you celebrate it on the moon for 28?
So that's what I thought we were talking about all along there. Were you talking
No,
about
the other way
something else?
around. So if you're born on the moon,
born on the moon, come to Earth.
I mean, and
okay, but
because-
then so it's the same deal. You have your birthday, your moon birthday will be one of the 13 days in the lunar year.
yeah,
So we're making it way too complicated.
Yes.
Yeah. Basically, you just map it. You look in the calendar. Okay, on the day I was born, so on the moon, what was the day on Earth?
so maybe you have a moon birthday and an Earth birthday.
It seems simple.
But you can imagine, you know, this is already getting complicated, right? So you always have to specify that. I mean, you're born there, or how come that cannot be your birthday? And I think when it gets more complicated, it's daily meetings.
Yeah.
Let's meet daily, or let's have like an agile working environment.
Sure.
Do you then actually meet once every 28 days for 50 minutes?
You're right. I mean, but then that's a different type of meeting than one where you meet once every 24 hours. And, you know, it would serve a different purpose.
Yeah, maybe everything is just slower.
Slower paced.
Yeah. So what have you been working on the last 28 Earth days? What will you be working on these 28 Earth days?
Yeah. More autonomy, I guess.
Yeah. I think to complicate it even further, as far as understood, humans still sleep every, was it 20?
Roughly 25, let's keep it simple, every 24 hours. People need to sleep within those for like roughly 8 hours. And when they don't, it gets real bad.
Yeah.
But then it's no longer, on the moon, it's no longer useful to refer to those as days, those 24-hour periods.
They're like cycles, I think they call them.
Yeah, or sleeps.
Or sleeps, okay.
I mean, that works so long as people, keep their sleep schedule regular.
And synced, I guess.
With one another, yeah.
Yeah, because the daylight lasts for 14 days. Yes, 14 moon days. No, 14 Earth days. So everybody needs to have the same sleep cycle, or maybe not. You know, to keep things going.
Right.
So maybe if you have to operate the watermelon stand, and it's light all the time, you'll have people wanting watermelon all the time. So you need to man it all the time. So you have to have shifts. I don't know. I've not been to the moon enough to know if they do shifts or if the whole moon sleeps at the same time, even though it's light. Do you know that? Maybe one person on the whole moon stays up, binge watching
It
stuff.
shifts.
Okay.
We haven't specified for our listeners, I don't know. Oh no, did I mention earlier? The moon does not have an atmosphere, so like 200 years ago, the moon does not have an atmosphere. It's not like people are just wandering around in the open air.
Fair enough.
They live in bases, so moon bases, which are sealed environments, which have requirements in terms of safety and maintenance and things like that. Yeah. So it cannot be that you just have no one paying attention to certain dials or anything.
Yeah.
So there are shifts. There's always people awake and responsible for things.
I was just imagining one, let's say, caretaker, like the whole moon population, which by now is hundreds of thousands of people and robots and so on, all going to sleep at the same time. The gong goes, bong, it's bedtime, you know, even though it's still light, everybody goes to sleep except the caretaker keeps an eye on the cameras.
Sure.
It's probably not the case.
No, they have shifts.
Yeah. Okay, so that's days. I think another like terminology related, confusion is not the right word, but challenge is seasons, because they don't have any. Right. There's no summer, no winter.
Right, and they did at the start.
Yeah.
So when folk first moved to the moon and started building moon bases, not all of them, but a lot of them wanted to keep so they had, climate control within the moon bases, and they figured, hey, let's keep the climate in sync with our hometown.
Yeah, get back home.
Yeah, I mean, back home, exactly. A country has lots of different stuff going on, but roughly in sync. So is it winter there? Let's have some winter-like weather here. Is it summer? Let's keep it a bit warmer, stuff like that. So that was early on, but pretty quickly that fell away.
Yeah, people migrated there from all over the place. And hey, back home it's sunny, and back home where I'm from it's always sunny. And then they couldn't really agree which season when, and then they dropped seasons altogether.
Yep, dropped them all together. Simpler, basically. And then also cheaper, because so the vacuum being an insulator, it's way easier to not try and get rid of all the excess heat from all the machinery. So how about it's just basically summer all the time and everyone wears shorts and t-shirt?
You know, there's a... Did you see the petition?
For winter? That was the Winter is Coming petition.
I saw that. So a bunch of folk getting together to bring winter back to the moon.
Yeah, right. Some folk like the summer, myself included. But other folk, they actually prefer cooler weather. Like being able to drink Glühwein and have a toasty fire going, stuff like that.
I mean, I'm not sure exactly what's in the petition, but they bring winter back. Maybe they bring it back for a couple of weeks. Huh?
Oh, sure, yeah.
But at least as far as terminology is concerned, on the moon you won't hear I know what you did last summer. Because there was no season.
Maybe I know what you did last Earth summer.
Yeah,
but true. Exactly not. Film set on Earth. Okay, it makes sense. But film set on the moon doesn't make sense. Or
what shall we do in spring? Okay, there's no spring. There's really nothing to look forward to. Sounds very sad. There's no spring coming. There's no autumn coming. It's always going to be exactly like it is today.
Right. There's a monotony to it, and I think that is part of the idea of. I mean, the petition is specifically for winter. I think they got that catchphrase, winter is coming, so that's what they're going for. And even if it is only for 2 weeks, it would add some variation to the temperature, it would add seasons, basically.
I think there's some things that are related to, let's say, the celestial bodies, like a lot of things related to the moon or to Earth are different. But because the sun is like a constant factor, there's things related to sun, like sunrise, sunset are the same. And solar eclipses are also happening on the moon. Just, the sun is eclipsed by Earth instead of by the moon, which means it happens more often.
Right.
Yeah, so those things are the same.
All-encompassing. And
also some, let's say, phrases or so that are so established, like down to earth. They still use that on the moon for somebody who's down to earth.
Yeah. And then, so down to earth in the sense of what we mean on Earth. Someone who's more serious, I guess.
Yeah, more grounded.
Grounded, yeah. And so that's, I think, that's such a long-established meaning that people say it and mean that. And they also mean it for the people who work in the hydroponics bays, where they actually do have imported mud or, earth from Earth. So I can't really speak capital letters, but they have imported earth from Earth. Maybe that's clearer. So anyway, people who work with that, so work in the mud like that, they can also be described as down to earth. Yeah,
I guess. They have the nickname that they have for Earth on the moon.
I'm drawing a blank.
Mudball.
That was it. I was just because I said mud earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, Mudball. That's because that's our whole planet, as far as they are concerned, is made of mud.
It's covered in it too. Exactly. They need to import it in order to grow plants, and food, and so on. And from their perspective, we're just like swimming in it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's always a mixture of like a bit jokey and also a bit complimentary. It's like Mudball. But there are also some words that changed meaning, right? So I think Monday is one of them,
right?
Where in a lot of languages, or I'm not sure if it's a lot of languages,
but at least some languages other than English, so German and Dutch as examples.
Yes, but I understood more languages, like Swedish or whatever. Yeah. But it's either literally Monday means Moon Day or is Moon Day, but or like in English or in French, it's derived from the word for moon. Yeah. And then, of course, that's already confusing because Moon Day, Monday is very similar. And on top of that, of course, the Earth weekend has already been expanded to 4 days. Friday was always in my opinion, like a weekend day as far as the name is concerned.
Yeah, like the German word for free.
Yeah, free day. But so Monday now, this used to be the name for...
Well, so you have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then the fourth day, which used to be called Monday.
There's no fun day.
Fun day.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you mention weekdays a lot, but everybody knows it used to be Monday, you know, it's because weekdays have been changed. Like, okay, I have no example. I think Wednesday. No, not in English. In some languages, Wednesday got changed at some point. Whatever. But yeah, so Monday is now fun day, and Moon Day is a day on the moon that lasts 28 Earth days.
Yep, 672 hours.
You have any other like typical words that?
So there's one. This is one where it like has changed the meaning of the word on Earth, and that's honeymoon.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, and they used to be thinking, so okay, when people got married, that they would go on a short holiday together, and that was called a honeymoon. And also it was
really
used in the sense of new relationship, that the initial maybe a few months, that was called a honeymoon period, when everything was really sweet and easy, maybe. And that doesn't... Okay, maybe people know of those meanings historically, like, you know, look it up on Wikipedia like we did for this episode. But what it actually means for everyone is like, talking about the honey that's made on the moon from the bees that live at 1/6 Earth gravity. It tastes so good. Like, it, you know, it's...
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah. Like, we don't even... I mean, okay, there's a niche, you know, for people who want honey made on Earth. But it's such a minor niche, effectively, for all intents and purposes. No one wants that. Everyone wants honeymoon.
I mean,
Honeymoon.
There are trips to the moon just for that, right?
Right, exactly.
I mean, it's a whole brand, Honeymoon. These are the trips to the moon that factor in all kinds of tasting and souvenirs that have to do with honey.
Yep.
And this used to be like a holiday that you took when you got married?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, of course, when some people get married, they do go to the moon to go on those honey tasting tours. But you don't have to get married to do that.
So they were already taking these trips before there was even honey on the moon. And they called them already honeymoon?
That's it. And I think fewer people went to the moon for their honeymoons. They would go other places, I guess.
But that's interesting. So they were already taking these trips before there was even honey on the moon.
Right.
And so they kind of like reality kind of caught up with the phrase.
Yeah. Made it make more sense.
Cool. So I learned something now. Okay, I hope the listeners learned something too about the moon, because now we're moving over to Mars. Let's do Mars turns.
Yep. Not today.
Okay, some other episode.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, we didn't prepare.
That's
Okay. So we had the listener question already.
Right.
I listed several questions already addressed at the start.
Yep.
So that means we have to move over to wrap up straight away.
Just like that. Listeners who've listened to us talk this last bunch of time about the moon and honey, please send an email to michaellasagna5@gmail.com with the number 175 in the subject. And that way we will know this episode successfully went back in time and that you listened to it.
All right. Then thanks for listening and see you in 200 years.
Bye-bye.